Everyone, a special meeting August 4th, 2020 of the Owensboro Board of Commissioners. This time I will ask our City Clerk, Beth Cecil, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Jeff Sanford.
Here.
Commissioner Larry Conder.
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Larry Magliner.
Here.
Commissioner Pam Smithwright.
Here.
This time would you please stand for the invocation and the pledge to the flag. Heavenly Father, as we gather tonight to do the work we were elected to do, in the midst of all the controversy and pain, we find our country being tested as never before. With so many questions and so few answers that we can get behind because they're either too slow, too late, or not enough to reach a solution. We ask for your guidance, love, and wisdom, which is needed now more than ever before. Once again, we must call on our own faith, love, and strength as we strive to guide our community to reach an outcome for the next bunch, which is why we should serve and not serve for ourselves, but for all the people. Tonight I ask all of us to strive to think about these items and these ideas. Before you pray, believe. Before you spend, earn. Before you speak, listen. Before you quit, try. Before you write, think. Before you die, live. These are ethics of life that can help us be the person, the parent, the sibling, the elected official God wants us to be, especially as we mourn the loss of one of our true friends today. I humbly ask these things and what is silent in our hearts as we all say together,
Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on the agenda, item 4A, consider approval of minutes dated July the 21st, 2020. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Do I hear any discussion about the minutes from July the 21st? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 4B, please consider this appointment to Shively York Neighborhood Alliance. Appoint Robin French to a 2-year term effective August the 4th, 2020. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Go to the ordinance, second reading, item 5, council.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Ordinance 9-2020, an ordinance closing a portion of the south right-of-way of West 5th Street on the north side of the property located at 1008 West 5th Street, Owensboro, Kentucky, and containing 0.022 acres at the request of Visha LLC. Publicly read for approval on second reading this 4th day of August, 2020.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
City Manager, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Yes, Mayor, just briefly, this is second reading of an ordinance closing a portion of an alley between West 5th Street and 1008 West 5th. The request to close this portion of the alley was submitted by the owner of the property at 1008 West 5th, who is the owner of all contiguous or adjacent property to the portion of the alley to be closed. The request has been reviewed by staff and utility providers, and no objections were raised.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the dais? This time we'll have a roll call vote. City Clerk Beth Cecil, please.
Commissioner Sanford.
Yes.
Commissioner Conder.
Yes.
Mayor Watson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Magliner.
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 5B, council.
Ordinance 10-2020, an ordinance annexing to the city of Owensboro certain unincorporated territory in the county of Davis adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property owned by Davis County School District Finance Corporation, located at Hayden Road near Highway 603, most recently assigned the address of 3901 Fairview Drive, containing 22.799 acres more or less. Publicly read for approval on second reading this 4th day of August, 2020.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, any discussion?
Yes, sir, thank you.
You're welcome.
Second reading of an ordinance for the consensual annexation of approximately 22.8 acres at 3901 Fairview Drive. It's a portion of the new site for the Davis County, or the new Davis County Middle School. The other portion of the DCMS site is already in the city, and the school system needs the entire footprint to be within the city to proceed with their project. As a result, they have provided consent for this annexation to proceed.
Thank you. Any discussion from the dais? Roll call. City Clerk Beth Cecil, please.
Commissioner Condor,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Magliner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanford.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item 5C, Council.
Ordinance 11-2020, an ordinance annexing to the city of Owensboro certain unincorporated territory in the county of Davis, adjoining the present boundary line of the city, being property owned by Senior Green LLC, located at 2224 Pleasant Valley Road, containing 24.737 acres more or less. Publicly read for approval on second reading this 4th day of August, 2020.
Thank you. City Manager, please.
Yes, Mayor, this is second reading of an ordinance for the consensual annexation of approximately 24.7 acres with an address of 2224 Pleasant Valley Road, owned by Senior Green LLC. As we'll talk about a little later in the meeting, it is essentially across the street from the DCMS property that we just annexed. And like the DCMS property, this is a consensual annexation.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all roll call.
We need a motion and a second, please.
Oh, I already did that, I thought. Motion, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Do I have to ask City Manager again? Okay. So, any discussion? Okay. Miss Beth Cecil, would you please give us a roll call?
Mayor Watson,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Magliner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanford,
Yes.
Commissioner Condor.
Yes.
Thank you. Unanimous. Item 5D, Council.
Ordinance 12-2020, an ordinance of the city of Owensboro, Kentucky, expanding the boundaries of the Gateway Commons development area, approving an amended and restated local participation agreement relating to the development area, approving a First Amendment to the development plan related to the development area, approving a master development agreement among the city, the Department of Finance and Support Services of the city, GW Development Incorporated, and the Owensboro Regional Water Resource Agency, and further restating and reaffirming ordinances 16-2015 and 15-2018. Publicly read for approval on second reading this 4th day of August, 2020.
Thank you, Council. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. City Manager, any comments?
Yes, sir. This ordinance has 3 distinct components, all relating to the Gateway Commons development area, or the TIF district, as we also call it. First, section approves the Master Development Agreement, or the MDA. The MDA is a document that dictates the share of revenue to be received by each entity that have costs within the development area. For Gateway Commons, that is 3 different entities: RWRA, the developer, and the city. After negotiations among the 3 parties, we have agreed to share the TIF revenue in proportion to our cost, with RWRA receiving 22%, developer 65%, and the city 13%. In addition, the city will take 2% off the top as an administrative fee. This is a fair and equitable sharing of revenue, and all parties are agreeable to this arrangement. Second component of the ordinance is to approve an amended local participation agreement. The LPA is an internal document between the city and the city finance department, providing the finance department the direction needed to administer the TIF. The Commission has previously approved an LPA, but this amendment makes minor changes to ensure the LPA is consistent with the MDA. And finally, the third portion of the ordinance is amending the Gateway Commons development area and plan. The amendment expands the boundary of the development area to include additional public infrastructure adjacent to the current boundary and to align the boundary with parcel lines. We have previously amended the development area to accommodate the construction of the Town Place Suites.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner Condon.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Would like to clarify some things that may have been reported recently. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that with this agreement, it concentrates on Gateway Commons is what it does. A great project that we all should want to succeed. None of us should ever wish for any business developer or anyone else to fail. That's just simply not in any of our ethics. And the numbers that we have that has been negotiated, whereas before, the city was getting nothing. Am I correct?
Of the local
Basically.
revenue, yes.
Yes. So now at least we're hopefully breaking even over in a period of time of what our costs are. That's great. Then you look at the rest of the components, keeping the middle school, the new middle school, building a new road. All of those different things add to the tax base of the city of Owensboro. So the project of it in itself is good, and it truly is good. All the while, we must keep our eyes on what's happening in the rest of our city, whether that be West Parish, South Frederick, or anywhere else. I still have that concern. So with that being the case, I would like to make one last comment. I've received at least 2 questions that have been asked specifically of me, if whether or not I had or have any type of financial investment or anything else in this development or the developer or anything else in the past or today. And I wish to tell for the record that I do not have any type of financial consideration that has been done with myself, my spouse, or anyone else in my family. So with that being the case, I think it's a good deal that the citizens of Owensboro at least are breaking even, and hopefully as we go forward, that things continue to grow and we just keep an eye on what's best of our community. Thank you, Mayor, for the time.
You're welcome. I have a few comments as well. You know, with this agreement, the city added 210 acres to the city's footprint. And everybody's always heard me say, you know, we're we're just starved for land. We got the river to the north, farmland to the west, and floodplain behind Sam's. So this allows the city to annex another 44.74 acres and allows Fairview Drive to connect with the relocation of the Davis County Middle School. When doing that, which also allowed Owensboro Grain, one of our great corporate citizens, to buy the old middle school site for future expansion. This will allow us to put the property back on the tax rolls and will allow Owensboro Grain to grow and provide more good-paying jobs. Total acres annexed to date because of this partnership grew the city limits by 2.1% or 277.53 acres. And everyone's heard me talk about how land poor we are. This also allowed OMU's service boundary to grow because we were so landlocked by Kenergy. It adds customers, which is really important to the city's general fund and our dividend. The property taxes on the 277.53 acres is all net revenue to the city and other taxing entities like the schools and stuff like that. To date, this project has added $57,233,968 to the tax rolls, not including the Davis County lot aside. As far as tenants having been relocated to Gateway, they are now paying more in property tax and have square footage that allows them to continue to operate in Owensboro. Everyone uses Hobby Lobby as an example. They built a larger store than the old Hobby Lobby space was, but that space was filled with big lots who needed more space. This is progress. Tibbetts has taken the old Tuesday morning space that went to 54, which keeps Hibbett's in Owensboro. Those that think that TIF is a bad idea, feel free to bring me all the ideas that you have because I'm always willing to listen. But keep in mind that to this date, there's only 1/3 of it has been built so far. So I think, as Commissioner Connor says, this is really good for the community. We don't have a whole lot of different developers that are trying to beat our door down to try and show some progress. So I do think that it's a worthwhile project, And I think we ought to be happy that we had an opportunity to grow our footprint. Anybody else? Commissioner Smith Wright.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to kind of reiterate what you said. You know, people talk about the West End, and I too am concerned about the West End. I'm concerned about south end of town. But, you know, in order for us to do anything, we welcome any developer that wants to come in and create something in those places. I don't think that we would be against that at all. So, you know, if somebody's willing to come in and clean up, help us clean up those areas and put new buildings there, new businesses there, opportunities for employment, I say that we will welcome them with open arms. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Where am I? City Clerk. Roll call? Okay. City Clerk Bess Cecil, please roll call us.
Mayor Pro Tem Magliner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Wright,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanford,
Yes.
Commissioner Conder,
Yes.
Mayor Watson.
Yes. Thank you all, unanimous. Item 6, first readings, none. Item 7, municipal orders. Steve, council, sorry.
Municipal Order 21-2020, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement by and between the City of Owensboro, Kentucky and the County of Davis, Kentucky, under the terms of which the city will apply for 2020 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Funds in the amount of $20,411, which will be allocated to the City of Owensboro Police Department to purchase 10 AR-15 rifles for the emergency response team and 105 red dot optics for patrol rifles and 27 flip-up rear sights. No match is required of the city. Introduced and publicly read for approval this 4th day of August, 2020.
Thank you, sir. City Manager?
Yes, Mayor, just to reiterate a couple of things that the city attorney said. The Byrne grant is one that's a little unusual in that every year we alternate with the county. One year the county receives the grant, the other year that the city receives. This is a city year, and so as Steve read, the funded will use the grant proceeds for rifles and sights.
Excellent. Any discussion up here? Okay, hearing none. All in favor indicate by, nope.
Need a
Roll.
motion in a second.
Huh?
We need a motion in a
I
second.
didn't do that already?
Sir?
I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I'm just trying to keep you on your toes over a bit. Okay, now 7B, council.
Municipal Order 22-2020, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a real estate purchase and sale agreement for the acquisition of approximately 24 2/10 acres of real property located at Pleasant Valley Road for purposes of extending Fairview Drive, and authorizing the mayor to execute a deed transferring any surplus from the property. Introduced and publicly read for approval this 4th day of August, 2020.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. City Manager, would you like to discuss this?
Yes, I would. Earlier in the meeting during second reading of the annexation of the new Davis County Middle School, I mentioned that the address of the school will be 3901 Fairview Drive. Will be is key because right now 3901 Fairview does not actually exist. However, working with various partners, we've developed a plan for the extension of Fairview Drive from its current end in the down subdivision to the intersection of Hayden Road at Kentucky 603. The next 3 agenda items are all related to completing the Fairview Drive extension. First, this municipal order authorizes the purchase of a portion of the route or right-of-way for the Fairview Drive extension. The city will purchase 24.28 acres from the Panel family, which is the smallest portion of the property the owners would subdivide to sell. Of the 24.28 acres that we will purchase, only 1.366 acres are needed for the actual right-of-way for the Fairview Drive extension. So this order further declares surplus and authorizes the sale of the remaining 22.874 acres that are not required for the project. We will sell the 22.874 acres to Professional Properties and Construction, LLC, another local developer and builder, for the same price we are paying for the property.
Any discussion from the dais?
Great.
Okay, we got a couple of greats up here. All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, item 7C.
Municipal Order 23-2020, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement with the Board of Education of Davis County, Kentucky, and the Davis County School District Finance Corporation, establishing the duties of the parties for improvements to Hayden Road and Fairview Drive, introduced and publicly read for approval, which is 4th of August 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion, City Manager?
Yes, Mayor, as I referenced previously, the middle school will have an address and access from the Fairview Drive extension. This municipal order approves an agreement with Davis County Public Schools, or DCPS, that depicts the responsibilities of each party related to the Fairview Drive extension. The city will acquire the right-of-way, as discussed in the last item, and contribute to the construction of the project. In addition, we were awarded a $500,000 grant from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for the project, which the city will administer. DCPS will make improvements to the intersection of Hayden Road and Kentucky Highway 603. The primary improvement is a turning lane from Hayden onto the new Fairview extension. The turning lane will initially be a private entrance for the school that will transition to being a public portion of the project when the entire Fairview is completed and dedicated.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. All right, we'll move to 7D, Council.
Municipal Order 24-2020, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement with Senior Green, LLC, establishing the duties of the parties for improvements to Hayden Road and Fairview Drive, introduced and publicly read for approval this 4th day of August 2020.
Thank you, sir. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, would you like to make a comment?
Yes.
Good.
Excuse me. This municipal order approves a similar agreement between the city and Senior Green LLC, who owns the land to the northeast of the new Davis County Middle School. This Senior Green property will be across the Fairview Drive extension from the middle school. The city responsibilities in this agreement are the same as the agreement with the Davis County Public Schools, which is to acquire the right-of-way, contribute to the cost of the project, and administer the state grant. Senior Green responsibilities are to provide the remaining portion of the right-of-way or the property needed for the project that we did not acquire previously, and to complete the excavation of the project.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. City Manager, items 8A. Consider personnel appointment, I guess.
Yes, Mayor. We have just one personnel appointment for your consideration today. That is Seth Fleener, regular, full-time, non-civil service appointment to Assistant Recreation Facilities Manager with Parks and Recreation, effective August 13th.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're on a unanimous roll. City Manager comments.
Just one additional comment, Mayor, I'd like to make relative to the Fairview Drive project. I know. Between the various agreements that the commission considered and approved tonight, 5 different entities were involved in the project. So sometimes we hear about public-private partnerships. This would be a public-private partnership. So it took an immense amount of coordination and discussion over the last few months. And so I'd like to thank each of the parties involved for their commitment and flexibility as we work through the various details and documents.
A whole lot of P's going on.
No doubt.
Yeah, should have been there. Okay, is that all you got for city manager comments? Good. Item 9, communication from elected officials. Commissioner Pam Smith-Wright, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Just to, I want everybody to please keep Jack Wells's family in your thoughts and prayers. He was such a huge portion of our community, and he's a great guy and a good friend. And we will miss him not only for the things that he did for this community, but for the person that he was. And I'd like to remind everybody that this is the 8th year for my Pay It Forward, Give a Hand Owensboro. And with all the other things that I have always asked you to do something nice for someone else, even if it's just a smile, this year it's more important that we please wear your mask and do that for someone else. And the date for the Pay It Forward campaign it started yesterday on the 3rd, and it goes through the 17th. And I thank you very much.
I did that Saturday and Sunday at Hardee's.
Good.
Thinking about you.
Good.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I agree with everything Commissioner Wright
I
said
love
about Jack Wells. I'm telling you, he was a great person. He cared so much for the community, and he'll be missed. I also watched the ribbon cutting at Nikki Hayden Apartments and realized how important that project is to the city. And I appreciate everything the entire Hayden family does for this community, and I want to thank them for it. That's it, Mayor.
Good people. I was there. Commissioner Condor.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Hopefully I can get through these comments without.
Commissioner Sanford. You want me to go on by you?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Just a few comments. I want to keep Jack Wells' family in our prayers also. You know, someone like him that meant so much to the community, you know, you see him behind the podium or something making big announcements, but there's a lot more to him than just those things, small things, the kind things that he did. And he helped a lot of people it doesn't make the papers. It's small things. He always had a smile on his face, and it's those type of things that make a person what they are and how special they are. And he helped a lot of people in this community, and I'm sure other communities. That'll be missed. Number 2, of course, everybody saw about our unemployment here in Owensboro. And I think we take Owensboro for granted because we live here. We're here every day, and we don't realize how good things are. And a lot of people notice Owensboro. We don't have the highest paying jobs, the lowest paying jobs, but we're somewhere in the middle. And I look at it in terms of a single stock where it's very volatile, or we're not that volatile, so we stay somewhere in the middle, and I think there's something to be said for that. I've been contacted in my other job. I'm in real estate, and actually had a police officer from New York City contact me, and he said he's ready to get out of New York, and actually looking at Owensboro, Kentucky, along with 3 people from California. So the coasts are starting to look to the middle America, where things are stable.
Here, here.
Where we have a lot of morals and and they're looking for consistency. And I found that to be really interesting in the last 3 weeks, getting those type of phone calls. We don't need to take it for granted. We need to be, we're pretty blessed where we live, and I'm pretty proud of where we live. Thank you very much, Mayor.
We got a good chief of police and chief of the fire department.
Amen. Yeah.
Commissioner Condor?
Yes, sir. I think I got this now.
Okay.
And it does, of course, concern Jack. And you know, we will memorialize Jack in a lot of different ways and tell a lot of crazy stories about Jack. and some really good stories of all the things that he did, both business and people and everything in our community, not just here, but in a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, whenever you see the plaques and everything else that will be dedicated to him, one of the most important things you'll see on the plaque is not necessarily all the other accolades, but one little carving, and that's the dash. What Jack did from the time he was born until he passed. And so the challenge today that we can all take away from Jack Wells is to remember what we do in our dash, that we do good every day for everyone that we encounter, no matter who they are, no matter how they were born, no matter where they came from, because that's how he lived. And we should all take that example and remember him, not just on his birth, not just on his death, but every day. Jack, we'll miss you.
Thank you. We had a lot of calls about the unemployment deal. Only city in America. Did CNN.com interview, did ABC out of Lexington, did Evansville. And I think we kind of take it for granted that it's not that big a deal, but it's been a pretty big deal, you know. Yeah. And we tried to, I included Candace in a couple of the interviews just so that they could get a perspective of our business community. And I think and I've gotten texts and stuff from my friends all across America, and because I've always, you know, when I go places, I always brag on OBKY saying, you know, once we get you here, we can keep you, but we just got to get you here. And so that's been a really interesting thing. And I can't thank our community enough for all they do to make us who we are. You know, in several of the comments, I talked about some of the industries that were kind of COVID. And they didn't affect them. You know, you have Ozzie Tyler and Sazerac, you know, that was, you know, none of the bars got closed, I don't think. And then they made hand sanitizer. You know, Owensboro Grain, selling food all over the world. You know, Ragu, or what do they call it now? Miscan. You know, really inexpensive supper for these kids is spaghetti and meatballs and sauce. You know, we've got an unbelievable energy component to our community, which I believe is a result of Bob Best and all he did for our community with Southern Star, Atmos, and Boardwalk Pipelines. And I could just go on and on. Our public school system they kept going with the non-traditional stuff. And then we had, of course, Owensboro Health. Didn't lay anybody off. In fact, they gave everybody their bonus that they had coming. I worked closely with Dr. Dufresne through all this stuff, and they've done a tremendous job. And I got to thank Clay Horton a bunch, because people don't really realize the stress that this guy's been under ever since it started. And Nate, you know, same every time you call him. Yep, what can I do for you? And you know, trying to figure out contact tracing, trying to figure out, you know, closings, and then being put in the position to try and enforce some of these things that come from higher above. And he and his group have just been phenomenal through this whole thing. And we're really blessed to have all these people in our community that, you know, pull together when times are tough. We've tried to put together some funding for, I'm hoping sometime we'll get that low rent thing, low interest, what is it called?
The rental assistance?
Rental assistance, yeah. And, you know, and this community is, you know, it's prepared for whatever anybody wants to bring. And I'm really proud to have an opportunity to be here. And we've tried to include everybody we can include in the compliments. And sometimes we forget people, and for that I apologize. But, you know, we're a safe town. We've got great public safety. I mean, there's a lot of really good things to talk about in Owensboro, Kentucky, and it's always fun to be able to toot our own horn a little bit. So And I too will miss Jack. I've known him for almost 50 years probably, and there's been a lot of things said about him, but he's just a hell of a guy. I mean, that's all there is to it. So, having said that, I'll make a motion to adjourn, I think. Is that right? Is that right? Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're done.